Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham Blog and to an unusual late night stream here as we look back at the news from Alasdair Gold today that Tottenham have finalised their shortlist of their managerial options and will now push to proceed with talks with any potential candidates with a view of getting them in place before the end of this season. Now, there's so many names we've heard. I have a list of all the names that I've seen linked with a Tottenham job over the last couple of weeks, which we will run through. But we're also going to run through the article from Alasdair Gold today, look at the options that he believes may be involved in that shortlist and discuss them and see who's the best, see who we want in this live chat as well. Let's see who people want to see in charge of Spurs. Let's welcome a few people here into the live stream. We've got Yassine Shakur asking for Scott Parker, saying, at this point, I've given up on trophies. Just give me entertaining football and I won't cry about a single trophy. That's what we've been resigned to as well. Matt, goddammit, don't make these late night streams. I'm going to miss classes in the morning. It won't happen very often. Just I was at work today when this news broke, so I thought we better do a little something about it. We have a few other people here. We've Coys, we've Shamu, we've Jack Northfield, Christopher W tuning in as well. Good to see you in here. We've Timothy, Jay here as well, and the Irish Hotspur David Harris saying, big up Maddie, bringing us all the news. Everyone smash a like on the stream. 45 watching. I want to see 45 likes. Please do, everyone smash that like button down below. It helps us out a lot. Any content creator, you smash that like button, it really helps us out. So please do that. It would be massively appreciated. Now look, let's get into this article from Alasdair Gold, because it's not the biggest revelation in the world, but it's indicating that we are one step closer to announcing the replacement for Jose Mourinho, which we do believe will be in place before the end of the season. Sky Sports suggesting that perhaps that won't be done, given that a lot of Spurs' potential targets are actually currently employed by other teams, so they may have to finish their domestic seasons before they actually enter talks with Spurs. But Alasdair Gold, I think, remains confident that Spurs could have someone in place by the end of the season. And he revealed today that Tottenham Hotspur have drawn up their shortlist to appoint their next manager and are expected to push forward to talk to their preferred candidates. The North London club relieved Jose Mourinho of his duties as head coach last month and placed Ryan Mason in charge on an interim basis until the end of the season. That decision was made to give Tottenham more time to look at the options available to them to select their next manager and then to begin talks with preferred candidates. So there were reports that Spurs moved to get rid of Jose Mourinho when they did, in order to try and get the jump on Bayern Munich in their pursuit of Julian Nagelsmann. Now, we know that didn't work at all. Nagelsmann will be taking over with the German champions at the beginning of next season. It did seem as though he was our number one target, but of course you can't compete with Bayern Munich when it comes to German players or German managers, and Nagelsmann decided to make that leap. And like I said, he will be taking over at Spurs at Bayern Munich next season, and then at Leipzig he will be replaced by Jesse Marsch, who's coming in from Salzburg, another target that Spurs had. Gold continues, while the age of the next Spurs box is not believed to be important, the brief for their ideal next manager is that the newcomer must be progressive, attack-minded, favouring possession-based football, and most importantly fit into the club's culture, which includes using the cutting-edge techniques implemented during Mauricio Pochettino's reign. So I think it's a very interesting sort of job spec that Spurs are putting out here in looking for a Poch manager. It's very interesting, and there's a little bit on Pochettino in this article, which we'll get to towards the end. Gold says football.london understands that having initially drawn up a long list of managers they were considering and fitted either their profile or financial situation, the club has now worked that down to a shortlist and will push forward to hold talks with the top candidates. Now, we've seen a lot of links in the last couple of weeks, and I've brought a lot of links here to the channel. I've tried to keep them as from the most reliable sources as much as possible, but also then looking at kind of realistic options. Like we had the story about Antonio Conte from Corriere dello Sport, and given that his future at Inter Milan is uncertain, I thought maybe that is an option that Spurs could be exploring. Someone who has Premier League experience and has, of course, won the Premier League as well, which is why I did bring that. But for the most part, I've tried to keep it as sort of reliable as possible. Some of those touted in the latest odds, such as Italian quintet Simone Inzaghi, Antonio Conte, Maurizio Sarri, Gianpiero Gasperini, and Massimiliano Allegri, are not believed to be among those in consideration for the Spurs job. Leicester City boss Brendan Rodgers is certainly someone who has admirers at Tottenham and has done for a long time, but whether he would want to leave the Foxes, particularly if they qualify for Champions League football, remains to be seen. And there were some reports in the last couple of days that Daniel Levy had actually decided to hold out to the end of the season to make a move for Brendan Rodgers in the hope that Spurs could pip Leicester to that fourth Champions League spot, as it does seem likely Chelsea will finish third. But look, that's not going to happen. We're not getting Champions League. Leicester might not get it yet. I think Liverpool and West Ham are in a good position to pounce if if Leicester do drop some points with their very difficult games left. I think they have Manchester United, Chelsea, and then Spurs. So there's definitely room for them to drop points there. David says, hope you're okay, my man. I know Spurs have broken me, but we have a break for a couple of months coming up, so get out and enjoy it. Look, Spurs, I'm sure this applies to everybody in the chat. Spurs really are a difficult team to support at times, but look, we have to put up that we've chosen this life, so we have to go with it. Gold continues, says football.london understands that a number of the Tottenham players have been repeatedly impressed by Graham Potter's Brighton side when they have come up against them, and would be open to the 45-year-old being pursued by the club. This is a story I did bring to the channel a couple of days ago. And look, you can say what you want about Graham Potter and the position that Brighton are in the table, and I personally don't. Cody saying supporting Spurs as a form of self-harm. Good to see you in the live chat, Cody. Graham Potter does play good football. He dominates games in the midfield and creates a lot of chances. Their expected goals will tell you that story. They are quite low down in the table. Only in the last couple of weeks have actually secured their safety in the Premier League for the new season. But I don't think anyone can deny that with a clinical goal scorer, a Graham Potter team would do a whole lot better than what Brighton are doing. Now, I'm not saying he's the best option for Spurs, and I'm certainly not saying he's the one I want to take over. But I can see why the players will be impressed, and going from the style of football they've played under Jose Mourinho, very defensive, very boring, and just not the Tottenham way. I think I can understand why they'd want to go almost to the other side of the spectrum with an appointment like Graham Potter. His style of play has fans within Hotspur way, and he fits the club's profile for their next manager. Although there is a gamble associated with any manager stepping up from a team in the Premier League's lower reaches to a club that contested the Champions League final just 2 years ago. Both Rodgers and Potter have reiterated their commitment in recent weeks to their projects at Leicester and Brighton, respectively. Now going on to the man that I fully believed was going to be the next Spurs manager. Ajax boss Erik ten Hag was under consideration by Spurs, only for Ajax to extend his contract by a year. While that would simply make his appointment more expensive for Tottenham, his comments after the extension was agreed suggested that he's not going anywhere this summer. Belgian boss Roberto Martinez also has his admirers at Tottenham for his style of play, although his last club job at Everton was not a success. The club have been keeping close tabs on former under-18s manager Scott Parker after he left the club to manage Fulham. The 40-year-old was caretaker boss for the final months of the 2018-19 season as the Cottagers were relegated before getting the job permanently and leading them to promotion back to the Premier League in the next campaign. This course was written before the game today, but following Fulham's 2-0 defeat at home to Burnley, they have since been relegated to the Championship, marking a second relegation on Scott Parker's CV in just over 2 years of management. He can't take the blame for the first one. He took over a sinking ship at the end of that season in 2019, but nonetheless, it's 2 relegations on his very, very short managerial CV. Pochettino's future at PSG is looking uncertain in the wake of their Champions League exit in the semi-finals, and they need Lille to slip up in their remaining 2 matches if they are to hold any hope of winning the Ligue 1 title. Now, PSG drew 1-1 away to Rennes last night following Lille's 3-0 win against Lens on Saturday. So Lille are currently 4 points ahead of PSG with 2 games remaining in the season. Lille still have to play Metz and Saint-Etienne, whereas PSG come up against Angers and Reims. Both teams are going to win those 2 games, you would imagine, and Lille now need just 4 points from their final 2 games to guarantee that title. And I think they will. I firmly believe Lille will lift that French League trophy at the end of this season. And then look, that's another manager we'll be speaking about and who I have spoken about, Christophe Galtier, who has worked wonders at Leeds. However, there's not believed to have been any contact at this stage from either side about a potential return to Spurs for Pochettino, less than 2 years after he was relieved of his duties by chairman Daniel Levy following almost 6 years at the club. With the club keeping their cards close to their chest and so much noise among foreign media outlets and in the betting odds as agents push their managers forward, some names on the club shortlist will remain unknown until the final stages, and that's exactly how Tottenham will want it. And that is one of the most Daniel Levy sentences I've ever heard, and that's why I have the banner ready to go there. Some names in the club shortlist will remain unknown until the final stages, and that's exactly how Tottenham will want it. It's happened quite a bit in the past that, with transfers for Spurs, it's been a very last-minute thing that has shown up in the press so that we start to hear about it. And then all of a sudden it's a deal done. Spurs are very good at getting things done behind the scenes like that. And perhaps that could be a case with one or more managers as Spurs look to replace Jose Mourinho. Now, I do have a full list here of managers that I've seen Spurs linked with in the last, is it 3 weeks since Jose was sacked? And I just want to quickly run through this, if I can do it quickly, because there are so many names. And look, let me know in the live chat what managers from this list you would want to see take over at Spurs, because there's certainly a few good options, but the good options tend to be the unrealistic ones. and that is the biggest concern Spurs have at the moment. But in no particular order, Spurs have been linked to Erik ten Hag, Julian Nagelsmann, Jesse Marsch, Christophe Galtier, Ralph Rangnick, Hans-Dieter Flick, Gianpiero Gasperini, Scott Parker, Graham Potter, Maurizio Sarri, Antonio Conte, Ryan Mason, Brendan Rodgers, Nuno Espirito Santo, Rafa Benitez, Massimiliano Allegri, Joachim Löw, Roberto Martinez, Marcelo Bielsa, Jurgen Klinsmann, Steven Gerrard, Gareth Southgate, Giovanni Trapattoni, Frank Rijkaard, Marcelino, Julian Lopetegui, Eddie Howe, Oliver Glasner, Paulo Fonseca, Simone Inzaghi, Sergei Rebrov, Ralph Hasenhüttl, Ledley King, Chris Powell, Diego Simeone, Niko Kovac, Sean Dyche, Sergio Conceição, Chris Wilder, and Xavi Hernandez. An insane list of managers there. Absolutely huge pool to pick from. But look, like we heard from Alasdair Gold, Spurs did make a very long list of managers. Now, I don't think all of those managers, there's close to 40 there, maybe even more. I don't think all of them have been identified by Spurs, but when there are so many managers that we're looking at, there's going to be even more stories to hear about this sort of stuff, and it's about picking those and finding the ones that are most realistic. And I'm going to go through a few managers here that could be good options for Spurs, could be the most realistic, and some that are just the ones we're hearing most about. And look, if I had to guess right now who would be the manager of Spurs next season, I would go with Graham Potter. Not one that I particularly want to see, but I do think he is the most likely to take over at Spurs next season, given the availability of so many managers. Like, if you're looking at that list, you've Erik ten Hag at Ajax, Nagelsmann is going to Bayern, Jesse Marsch at going to Leipzig, Galtier at Lille, potentially going to Nice. You've Flick probably taken over at the German national job. Gasperini is still at Atalanta, Potter at Brighton. You've Conte at AC Milan, Rodgers at Leicester, Santo at Wolves. Every single manager there seems to have a job. Even going down towards the end, the last few, Niko Kovac currently at Monaco, Sergio Conceição at Porto, and Xavi Hernandez at Al Sadd in Qatar. There is, look, Cody Max says, what a circus distraction campaign. Enoch out, as the sign says there, right with you, Cody. But yeah, an incredible list of managers there. Now look, let's take a look at Graham Potter, because his CV goes back a bit further than a lot of people realise, because people tend to look at him and see the time he spent at Brighton. But before that, Graham Potter did spend 7 years in Sweden managing Östersund. And he had a very, very good time there. He took over in January of 2011 when they were in the 4th tier of English football. And in his 7 years there, he managed to take Östersund to the knockout stages of the Europa League. Now, look, you can say what you want about the quality of leagues in Europe outside the top 5. You know, people often say about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, yes, he won the Norwegian Eliteserien with Molde, but the Premier League is a completely different ballgame. I think Potter, to some extent, has disproved that theory, because he's come in and he's played fantastic football with Brighton, and he's taken over after Chris Hughton left in a time where people expected Brighton to go down, given the quality of management Chris Hughton often brings to clubs. And if anything, he has progressed the Seagulls to a better level. Not in terms of the table, but in the football they play and the potential they have as a club going forward. But in his 7 years at Östersund, he brought them from the 4th tier of Swedish football to the, like I said, to the knockout stages of the 2017-18 Europa League. He won 2-1 away to Arsenal in that time, although it was them who eventually knocked him out with a 3-0 win in the reverse leg. His highest finish there was in 5th place, bringing them up from like 3 promotions. He won the 4th tier, he won the 3rd tier, finished as runners up in the 2nd tier, and then got as high as 5th in the Allsvenskan, the top division of Swedish football. From there, he went on to Swansea. He moved there in June of 2018, just as they were relegated from the Championship, and he spent just a year there. I think he was never actually sacked by Swansea, but he took the job at Brighton. It says here, Potter informed Swansea of his desire to leave the club to go to Brighton. I'm trying to see here, they finished 10th in the league after a strong end of season run gave Swansea a slim chance of making the playoffs. So he had a very strong end of the season there with Swansea as well, and then made the step up to Brighton. And it's very interesting. You're looking at this manager who has managed 3 teams in his managerial career, but he's never been sacked. He's made these steps up himself. He's gone from Östersund to Swansea, from Swansea to Brighton, and now potentially moving on from Brighton to Spurs. And in that article there from Alasdair Gold, you know, he said Potter has reiterated his commitment to the project at Brighton at the moment, but I'm sure he was thinking the same at Östersund and Swansea, and there is precedent there for him to leave the club in the middle of some sort of project, and this is a massive step up for him. It may be a step too far for him, but to go from Brighton to Spurs for anyone is a huge step, and there is the potential there for Spurs to convince him to make that move up. But look, we'll have to wait and see. Now, he's been at Brighton since 2019, and he's never brought them to an incredible finish. I think they finished 15th last season. It was late July before they actually confirmed their safety, and now I think they're in a similar position in the Premier League this season. A quick little bit in his managerial style: he's been recognised for progressive and unconventional coaching methods. In Sweden, he encourages players and staff to engage in community activities such as performing in theatre and music productions designed to take them out of their comfort zone. I'm not quite sure what that would add to Spurs. But Potter describes his teams as tactically flexible, attacking and possession-based. He used 3-5-2 in Sweden. And Henrik Larsson has previously said he played all kinds of different systems, starting off a match one way and then halfway through playing a different system, and then ended up with a third system. All the players knew what they were doing. And it's that tactical nous, that ability to adapt under certain conditions, that I think Spurs could really benefit from. But look, let me know quickly in the live chat, yes or no, do you want to see Graham Potter as the next Spurs manager? This is one that I think has split opinion more than any other from what I've seen in this Spurs managerial pursuit over the last couple of weeks. So a quick yes or no, and we'll take a quick run through them. Before we do, I'm just going to take a quick look at the current betting odds, looking at Sky Bet, mainly because it's the most accessible one and the easiest one to find. Eccleston here saying he wouldn't take Graham Potter. Kate says no. Christopher W wouldn't mind him. Dave says no as well. We'll get a few more of those in a second, but the odds remain the same as they were the other day in terms of who the favourite for Spurs is, and it is still Simone Inzaghi, the current Lazio manager, in at 2-1. After that, Scott Parker, who was tonight relegated with Fulham, comes in second at 4-1. Then Graham Potter at 8-1. Brendan Rodgers 12-1. Antonio Conte and Nuno Espirito Santo both coming in at 14-1. And some outsiders at the moment are Mauricio Pochettino coming in at 25-1, I think it was earlier, or at 18-1. And some of the wild outsiders, you've Rooney, Tim Sherwood, Sol Campbell, Emma Hayes, Derek McInnes, and Alan Pardew coming in at 100-1. I think we can definitely rule out a few names there. Lucien Favre in at 66-1, along with Christophe Galtier, Xavi Hernandez, David Moyes, Claude Makelele, Chris Wilder, all coming in at 50-1 as well. So a lot of managers, being listed there. Matthew Boone, Stephen Flynn, Big T all say no to Graham Potter, as Yassine Shakur does. Dylan Roskovensky says yes. Paul says no. So look, a bit more one-sided really here than I thought, with the majority of people saying no to Graham Potter. I thought it had split opinion a bit more than that. Carl Simpson says no to all of them apart from Poch or Ten Hag. But yeah, look, let's move on to Simone Inzaghi. And I put up a video about him the other day, brother of Filippo Inzaghi, the former AC Milan striker, who I think a lot of people have thought since I uploaded this video, especially when I've shared it on Facebook, they've thought that he is Filippo Inzaghi, but he is the less successful brother, Simone Inzaghi, who the best time for his career came at Lazio as well, actually, where he was for 11 years, played there, I think 133 appearances. But he has been manager of Lazio since 2016, when Lazio were a team kind of teetering on the edge of mediocrity, I suppose, in Italy. And he's been relatively successful there in a league that's highly dominated by a few clubs in Juventus and Inter Milan, and a bit before that in AC Milan. Lazio have done quite well in domestic competition. They haven't done extremely well in the league. They haven't gotten they haven't won any league titles or something like that, but they've won a couple of Supercoppa Italias, which I think is their equivalent of the Community Shield, just with a kind of different way to qualify. And they've won a Coppa Italia as well. And like I said, in a country that's dominated by a few teams who definitely have a lot more money to throw around the place than Lazio, I think that does deserve recognition. Just taking a quick look here at his managerial career. So he in the 2016-17 season, Inzaghi was brought in to replace Marcelo Bielsa, who was actually at the club for less than a week. Bielsa, another name being linked to Spurs. And he was named as permanent manager. Then he finished 5th in his first season and actually lost the final of the Italian Cup to Juventus in 2017. Then he signed a new contract, keeping him there for a further 3 years. He started the next league season. So because they lost the final of the Domestic Cup to Juventus, and Juventus, of course, won the league, that then qualified Lazio for their equivalent of the Community Shield and the Supercoppa Italiana, and they beat Juventus in that, winning by 3-2, again finishing 5th in the Serie A, getting very close to Champions League qualification. The following season, they won the Domestic Cup, beating Atalanta 2-0 in the final of that one, and automatically qualified for the Europa League group stage. And he won his second Supercoppa Italiano, beating Juventus in December of 2019. Now, the Serie A table currently has Lazio sitting in 6th, just 5 points behind Andrea Pirlo's Juventus, with a game in hand. So Europa League qualification definitely on the cards there, as Juventus look to fade away to almost nothing with the season coming to an end. They lost 3-0 to AC Milan last night, as they drop out of the Champions League spots and potentially risk losing Cristiano Ronaldo for the new season. And even more interestingly, the Italian Football Federation has today said Juventus will be kicked out of the Serie A if they don't pull out of the European Super League. They're actually still in that with Real Madrid and Barcelona. Chris says, sounds perfect for Spurs then, 5th and loses a final. Timothy says, Matt, who do you want as Spurs manager? My ideal pick right now would be Christophe Galtier. We'll get onto that in a second, but I don't think it is going to happen. But look, Inzaghi is not a manager that a lot of people know about. As I said, he's often, from what I've seen in the last couple of days, he's mixed up with Filippo Inzaghi, his brother. A lot of people think he is him, which, look, again, like I said, isn't true. I saw a comment on one of my videos there a while ago. I think it was actually on the Inzaghi video. I can't see it right now at the moment. I don't know if it's been deleted, but said he plays, or here it is from Rafa Benitez, God. Says he plays a 3-5-2 and he's not great defensively, he's not great attackingly. An average manager, a young coach, maybe potentially trying to save a bit of money. But there's another comment there saying he does play good defensive football, usually employs a 3-5-2, which I think is similar to Antonio Conte in that we need more centre backs, playing just 2 of them. So if we were playing 3 centre backs, then we need even more. Christopher W says Milinkovic-Savic could be a potential target with Inzaghi if it is him. Of course, Milinkovic-Savic, an incredible midfielder, playing for Lazio. Maybe Inzaghi will bring him with him. Paul Markey here with a €5 super chat. Paul, thank you very much for that super chat. It is massively appreciated. It really, really helps out the channel more than you really know. Anyone else, if you do want to make sure your questions are answered or comments discussed, please don't be afraid to hit that super chat button, the $ beside the live chat, and I'll get to them as much as I possibly can. Paul says it's a coaching job, not managerial and toxic. All notable candidates are rejecting it as terms are unworkable, and that is the biggest concern. Even if the terms aren't unworkable, the environment that Spurs is in, working with Daniel Levy and working with players who essentially are completely disinterested and potentially don't really want to be at Spurs anymore. It is a very difficult one to make appealing to any potential candidate. A quick one here. Bob Spurs says, big up, Matt. Quick congrats to a member of our Spurs YouTube family hitting 500 subs today. Is that you, Bobby? Have you hit 500 subs? If so, a massive congratulations to you. It is massively, massively deserved. Look, everyone make sure to go over and check out Bobby's channel. Great content over there. He says, I'm still hoping for the board to be sorted before a manager coming in. Am I being unrealistic? I don't think you're being unrealistic. I think it's just the sort of positivity that Spurs fans have that will never fade, but will probably never be appeased either. Because I have the thing there. I want Enoch out, but I can't see it happening. They've way too much power within the club. The protests for this Saturday and this Sunday, I'm actually going to be. I'm going to promote those a bit more in my stream on Wednesday, because I'd like to see a lot of fans turning out there. Of course, I can't go there, but I'd love to see as many people as possible making their voices heard. And I might even cover the protest on a Sunday in the channel, and maybe have a bit of a protest for fans around the world on this channel. If that makes sense, but I don't think you're being unrealistic, probably. But I think it's not going to happen personally. But never say never. A lot of stranger things have happened in football in recent weeks. And Bob says, "Oh, Simon hit 500 subs. I'm getting this, Bobby. You'll be there in no time at all." I really mean that. Again, everyone make sure to go over and check out Bobby, and massive congratulations to Simon as well for hitting 500 subs. I was lucky enough to meet him a couple of weeks ago. A fantastic guy who makes fantastic content as well. So look, that's Simone Inzaghi. Quick poll, I suppose, in the live chat. Let me know if you do want Simone Inzaghi at Spurs. And he said Filippo, even I'm mixing him up with his brother. A quick yes or no. Do you want Simone Inzaghi to be the next manager of Spurs? Like I said, currently the betting favourite coming in at 2-1 at the moment, the current Lazio manager. Do you want to see him? Do you want to see him as the next Spurs manager? We'll talk a bit in a second about Brendan Rodgers. We'll also touch on Roberto Martinez and my main target for this one in Christophe Galtier. We'll run through that list again in a second, because I think someone has asked for it there. But yeah, we'll touch on those managers as well. Oh, not a good reaction to this one. Alaric says no. C says no as well. Carl Simpson says no to Inzaghi. Chris says no chance. Ethelson says Felipe Inzaghi was quality. He absolutely was. Simone never quite lived up to the family name, but hopefully he can make a name in management if it is going to be with Spurs. Timothy says, so Matt, with options like these, who would you want in Martinez, Potter, Parker, or Rodgers? I would want Rodgers, but that's not realistic. Out of those, the most realistic one that I would accept, if kind of balancing the two, it would certainly be Graham Potter. Christopher says he'd take Inzaghi only if he could convince Milinkovic-Savic to come with him. Adam says definitely no to Rodgers, and Paul saying no to Simone Inzaghi as well. Look, let's touch on Brendan Rodgers, because this is one that I think the majority of the fans would take, based from what I've seen. Look, I may be wrong. Please let me know in the live chat if I am. But currently in 4th in the Premier League with Leicester. Now, he was in an incredible position at the turn of the year last season with Leicester, and looking to get them into Champions League football. I think they were 14 points clear of 5th place Man United at the turn of the year, and ended up not even qualifying for Champions League. It was actually the last day of the season they dropped out after an abysmal run of form. And that is becoming a bit of a trend for Brendan Rodgers, because the same happened during his time at Liverpool when they looked likely to win the Premier League in 2013-14, massively at Manchester City. And we all remember Christian Bull and the Gerrard slip. There is precedent for this for Brendan Rodgers, and it looks like he's doing it again. Now, the fixture list, I suppose, in this instance has been very, very unkind to him, in that their final few games are Manchester United, Chelsea and Spurs. But he was in a position where he should have wrapped this up, and they lost 4-2 to Newcastle last Friday. They've had some terrible results that will effectively cost them their place in the Champions League. If they don't finish top 4, it's not because they've not picked up points against United and Chelsea. It's because of the previous games where they've messed up. And Cody here saying 150 watching, smash a like for Matt. Great insight into a hot topic. Cody, thank you very much. Really appreciate the support. But everyone do make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Like I said a minute ago, it really helps us out. Any content creator really helps us out when you hit that like button, because it pushes the stream out to more people and lets you know you're enjoying it. We're on 62 likes already, so please see if we can get that up to 100 before the stream ends. But yeah, look, it's what Brendan Rodgers is known for at this stage. And yes, he won everything there was to win in Scotland with Celtic. He did the treble, or was it Neil Lennon came in towards the end of the final season to wrap that up. But I think the praise needs to go to Brendan Rodgers for that. Christopher says, problem with Rodgers is the only place the teams haven't bottled it was the one team league up in Scotland whilst he was up there. And look, that's it. He is quite kind of known for bottling things. Now, whether or not he would want to come to Spurs, I think is a completely different discussion. And right now, if I was in his boots, I don't think I'd want to. That may change if as I do believe, Leicester will drop out of the top 4 with the run-in they have. I think if Liverpool win their game in hand, they'll be just 3 points behind Leicester. But of course, that game in hand then is away to Manchester United. Rodgers is someone that I would accept at Spurs, but not be excited about. And I think that is an unfortunate trend with the majority of managers we're seeing here, because look, Graham Potter, I'd accept, wouldn't be too excited about. Same with Brendan Rodgers, same with Gasperini, Espirito Santo, Benitez, Allegri, Martinez. There's no real manager here to get you excited. And even my number one pick in Christophe Galtier, I wouldn't be overly excited, or I wouldn't want Spurs to go out of their way to get him, because there are just no options. And look, this does come down to, on one hand, the lack of quality managers that are available out there. But on the other hand, we were in a Champions League final 2 seasons ago, and should be able to attract managers from other clubs with the ability of what we need to progress us onto that next level. And just at the moment, we don't have that. But look, let me know your thoughts on Brendan Rodgers in the live chat, because I'm really split on this one. I'd love to get your input on this. If you want to guarantee your comments are read out about Rodgers, do put in a super chat. A good way to support the channel, and we'll make sure to bring it up on screen and discuss what you have to say. But even if you don't want to put in a super chat, let me know what you think about Rodgers, and I'll get through those as much as I can. Edison says Brendan Rodgers has already distanced himself. That pretty much says he's not interested, and I don't think he's interested. I don't think he'll take this. But like I said, a lot of that can change if Leicester do drop out of the top 4 and essentially bottle it for the second season in a row. And look, I think when Leicester lost 4-2 against Newcastle, I expected Twitter to be laughing at Leicester, laughing at Brendan Rodgers, slagging them for their failures. But the only thing we saw on social media was people saying, "Oh, look, Rodgers is perfect for Spurs. He's bottled this," and just shows we're kind of the victim of every single joke at the moment. But yeah, I agree with Ethelson here. Rodgers seems to have distanced himself. He's already said he's happy at Leicester and he won't take the job. But things can change very, very quickly. Jacob says, would like Rodgers, but don't think so. And Adam says, why would we want him if he drops out of top 4? He's a failure. And that is the other side of things. He may play fantastic football. He may have instilled some really good philosophies at Leicester. And there was an interview from James Maddison a few weeks back after a Leicester game, and he was speaking about how they approach the game in terms of in their mental mind space, their tactics, and sort of every way. He kind of gave a brief insight into all that. It was really impressive the way he spoke, and the philosophies and the mindsets that Rodgers had instilled in that team. But that doesn't really account for much if it's not enough to get them over the line at the end of the season. Because I don't want to be in the top 4 for 37 game weeks and then finish 5th following a defeat in the last day. Or, I don't want to be top of the table for 37 game days and finish 2nd, It's a very different situation there. And Cody says here, Leicester have the FA Cup final, don't forget, and that is true. Rodgers could go on and win their first major trophy since the Premier League in 2016. And maybe it's a different ballgame then, because he has that trophy to try and bounce on from. And on the flip side, he wins that, maybe Spurs fans would want him a bit more. But look, let me know in the live chat, would you take Brendan Rodgers, yes or no? I think this one is probably going to be a bit more swayed in the yes camp than the last couple. And we'll move on then to Roberto Martinez, and we finish off with Christophe Galtier. Adam Parcher says, what do you think about the Southampton manager? Hasenhüttl is a very difficult one, because he seems to have had a very good time at Southampton, sandwiched between two very poor times. And look, Southampton fans will kill me for saying this, but in between those two 9-0 defeats to Leicester and Manchester United, because after that defeat to Leicester, they went on an incredible run. And I think for the next 4 or 5 months, they were in the top 4 of the form table. Started the season really well, had a bit of a blip, and then lost 9-0 to United, and it's been downhill from there ever since. So I do like Hasenhüttl, but I don't know if he has what it takes to step up to the Spurs job. And he hasn't done as well at Southampton as Pochettino did. So look, maybe that's a bit of an indication as well. Michael says yes to Rodgers, as does Christopher. Paul says yes, Brendan all day. Cody says yes, but he ain't coming, like you said. You have Kate here says no to Rodgers or Southampton manager. Dave Tyson says no. Screwing the tuna, sorry, good to see you in the live chat here. Says, if we don't get Pochettino, I'm not interested at all. Enoch out, and there's a banner right there. I may have taken that from Ben and Sim Studio, but look, they said I could. But look, I think Pochettino is one that a lot of Spurs fans would want. There have been reports in the last couple of days that Pochettino's job at PSG may be on the line. As we were saying, Lille currently 4 points ahead of PSG with 2 games left, and their remaining games are against Metz and Saint-Etienne. And they're on an incredible run of form. In their last couple of games, have beaten PSG and Lyon, another contender for top 4. So I think the French title is going to Lille, and having lost in the semi-final of the Champions League, and now this is Pochettino's time up. I think it would be harsh if that would happen, but PSG aren't exactly patient with managers. Thomas Tuchel was top of the table in December, and they sacked him after a bit of a disagreement with the board. So I says all leaning out banners are welcome, Matt. Of course, they have to be everywhere, and hopefully there'll be a lot down in the stadium on the 15th and 16th. But look, I don't think Poch will happen now. I said it from the minute he was sacked that we will see him back at Spurs one day, and he's reiterated that himself in a lot of interviews, even up until the weeks before he was appointed by PSG. So I do think we will see him back in the future, but at the moment, I do think it is just a bit premature. Moving quickly on to Roberto Martinez, the current manager of the Belgian national team, where he's actually been for 5 years. I didn't realize that. It's been quite a while since he was in club management. His only domestic or his only club managerial roles have been in England. In the English league setup, I suppose. The first one in Swansea from 2007 to 2009, then Wigan for the next 4 years, then Everton for the next 3 years after that, and of course he's been with Belgium ever since. As a manager, he won the League One with Swansea in 2007. He won the FA Cup with Wigan in 2013 and led Belgium to third place in the FIFA World Cup in 2018. Not the biggest list of honours, but his individual honours: he won League One Manager of the Year, League One Manager of the Month, Premier League Manager of the Month, LMA FA Cup Manager of the Year, Belgian Sports Coach of the Year, and FIFA Men's Coach nomination. Most recent award there coming in 2018. As Alasdair Gold said in his article, his most recent club employment was not a success at Everton. He didn't have a very good time there. I think what he was known for at Wigan most of all was those miraculous escapes from relegation at the end of the season. But the one time he couldn't do that was in his last season in 2013. But he did win the FA Cup, and I personally don't think he's the best option for Spurs. Like I said, he's one that I'd accept, but wouldn't get too excited about. And I feel like a lot of Spurs fan base is the same. Or well, I would have thought that. We've Alaric saying not Martinez. Paul saying no, not Martinez. So look, maybe people a bit unhappy about that. I suppose he's managing some very, very talented players in the Belgian setup right now, including a few Spurs players. Of course, Toby Alderweireld. Do we have another Belgian still here? Dembele, Vertonghen, Chadley, all former Spurs players. But Thomas here says, what exactly is the apprehension about Potter? Is it simply because we haven't seen him at this level? I'm excited to see what he can do. I do think that is the main thing. You know, Brighton currently being as a 15th or 16th in the Premier League table. He hasn't been tested at a higher level, but look, you have to get your first job up there at some point. But yeah, look, Martinez is not very successful at Everton. He was sacked in May 2016 when they were 12th in the Premier League table, which is a lot lower than Everton should ever really find themselves. Relative or successful at Swansea, relatively okay at Wigan. You know, he eventually got them relegated, but of course won the FA Cup then, and Everton was certainly a disappointment. But he's done relatively well then at Belgium, like I said, leading them to third in the World Cup in 2018. I really don't want to talk too much more about this because there seems to be a lot of negativity towards the potential appointment of Roberto Martinez in the live chat. So we'll quickly take a look at the numbers on the stream, and we'll move on then to Christophe Galtier. Like I said, please do make sure to smash that like button if you haven't already. It really helps us out a lot more than you might know. So smash that like button. We're on 85. Let's see if we can get to 100. Make sure to subscribe as well if you are new to the channel for more updates on Tottenham's pursuit of a new manager, plus the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast, Tottenham watch-alongs, and any type of Spurs content you could really want. I guarantee you'll get it all here. It'll be completely worth your time. But look, Christophe Galtier, he's my choice, and he is out of the list that I've read, the 50 odd managers, he is exactly who I think we need, because he's currently managing in a situation that is very similar to what he would face at Spurs, and that he's not going to get a lot of money. He's not going to have the most talented squad in the league, but you know, he's losing his best players. He's bringing in players on kind of a low budget, and he's really making it work. I think one key thing with him is he seems to have a decent amount of control over transfers. And look, an even bigger thing is that he has a director of football there in Luis Campos. And this is something I feel really strongly about. And I have a stream coming up on Wednesday with Cenk and Danny Kiriakou, the bun as he's known, and potentially another guest as well. We're going to talk a lot more about this, but Spurs need a director of football no matter what manager comes in, because Steve Hitchen in charge of transfers isn't good. Daniel Levy in charge of any footballing decisions isn't good. We need a director of football. I mean, look at the biggest clubs in Europe. You can count Lille at the moment because they're probably going on to win that Ligue 1 title with Luis Campos in charge. You've Bayern Munich have Hasan Salihamidzic. Juventus have Fabio Paratici. The big teams tend to have director of football. Alarker says Ralph Rangnick for director of football, and I saw a comment earlier saying then let him pick the coach. And so I hear echoing the sentiments of a lot of Spurs fans saying I don't care at all about the next manager until Enoch are gone. Carl says Galtier is a really good manager. He would be in my top 3. And look what he's done. He's lost a lot of players since he took over in Lille in 2017. They sold Nicola Pepe and Gabriel Magalhaes to Arsenal. Rafael Leao was let go to AC Milan. They had Victor Osimhen sold to Napoli in what tend to be very high fees in those transfers. We got a super chat here from Terry Wright. Terry with the $5. Thank you so much, Terry. Massively appreciate that. And I do mean it. Says, excellent chat, Matt. Keep up the great work. In my opinion, Spurs need a young manager that has a long-term vision with some Premier League experience and good with youth. Look, Terry, sounds like your perfect option is Graham Potter. And in an ideal scenario, I would absolutely love to see that. You know, I've spoken about Antonio Conte because he has Premier League experience, and look, he's gone on to win it as well. But it's an unfortunate situation for Spurs in that none of the managers that are available tend to take all of those boxes. And I think we got lucky with Pochettino, and then kind of where Daniel Levy wanted to go then with Jose Mourinho, in that we did at that time have managers who ticked all those boxes. I don't think we have that luxury anymore. But thank you for the kind words, Terry. And I fully agree with you in terms of the profile of manager we should be looking at. But yeah, look at Lille. Luis Campos, massive help there. But the team that Galtier has managed to build includes a lot of players that we've spoken on this channel about as potential signings for Spurs. You know, if I could pick a keeper right now, it would be Mike Maignan. If we could get a centre-back, it would be Sven Botman. You could get Zeki Celik, the right-back. There's Jonathan Akone, Jonathan Bamba, and there's another Jonathan there whose name is eluding me right now. They've Boubakary Soumaré, who's of course moving on to Leicester. It's an incredibly talented squad, and one that Galtier has managed to put together, again, with the help of Lille Campos on a very minimal budget, losing his best players every season. And not only is he making that work in terms of making the team sustainable, but he's winning the league. He's ending PSG's reign as consistent French champions with this in this incredibly difficult situation. And something I find with him is actually quite similar to Erik ten Hag's Ajax side in 2019, in that it's an incredible balance between experience and youth that he's managed to build this really impressive team. I mean, you look at that. Please don't spam in the chat, Kadeem. You look at that team that Ten Hag brought to the semi-final of the Champions League, and they had some incredible young players making their breakthrough in Donny van de Beek, Matthias de Ligt, Frankie de Jong, David Neres, but also had that element of experience in Daley Blind, Dusan Tadic, Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, and that balance was so perfect that it worked when they had the experienced heads, but they also had that energetic team that could go out and beat almost anyone, as they did, knocking Juventus and Real Madrid out of the Champions League before being beaten by Spurs. And Galtier has built something similar in Lille. You have Burak Yilmaz brought in as a free agent at the start of the season. He's banging in goals for fun. I think he's one of the top scorers in the French league. We've Jose Font, a 36-year-old defender who you may remember from his time at Southampton. Everyone thought he was done. He's now winning this title. He's their main centre-back. He's playing alongside Sven Botman, who is one of the most exciting up-and-coming centre-backs in world football. Like I said, you have Mike Mignon, a young goalkeeper. There's Zeki Celik, Renato Sanchez, whose career seemed dead when he failed at Swansea, has now been revitalised with Lille. Yusuf Yazici, Jonathan David, the other player I couldn't think of, Timothy Weah. There's Jonathan Bamba, Luis Araujo, just going through the team here. A list of incredible players. There's Boubakary Soumaré, Victor Osimhen, of course, has since moved on. Jeremy Pied. It is an incredible team that he's managed to build there. And look, he won't be able to do that to the same extent as what he can at Lille at Spurs, because of perhaps the lack of support he'd have from the hierarchy of the club in terms of getting the players in that he wants. Sai here says, what I would say that was my dead grandma could play well in the French league. Look, I would agree with that. I think the French league is certainly lower quality than the Premier League. But what I would say is, if they finish second in the French league, I wouldn't say much about them. But it's the fact that they've made that step and they've gone above PSG, who have Poch, who have Mbappe, Neymar, an incredible team. Yes, their midfield is weak and their defence at times is vulnerable, but it's still PSG. It's still a team that are probably one of Europe's best and should have performed better in European football. But it's the fact that they've made that leap above PSG that is kind of catching my attention. And I think we have a few people here that agree. Alaric says, "Okay, Matt, you got me interested. I want this guy." Michael Hayes says, "I like what you're saying about Galtier. You got my attention." But look, I mean, if it's getting people's attention, that he must be doing something right. And look, that in a nutshell, in a very large nutshell, is why I want Christophe Galtier, because he can work in a very similar environment to what Spurs would force him into. And look, I don't think it's going to happen. There is talk of him moving to Nice in the French league, which is a really weird step because Nice are currently 9th. And if he's going to be winning the league with Lille, getting them into the Champions League, then making a step down 8 places, it's a weird thing that's happening there. But another thing I like about him is he's a manager who doesn't give up, or he's a project manager. Before he was at Lille, he was with Saint Etienne for 8 years, which is the longest reign any manager has had over a team in France. And he's gone on now to Lille, where he's been for 4 years. And like I said, he took over from Marcelo Bielsa, who left just after a week. And in the first season there, he finished 17th. He nearly got them relegated. But he didn't kind of accept, okay, we have to play defensive football, we have to try and avoid relegation. He went out and attacked the next season, and he finished 5th. And there's a fantastic video on my channel with Alex, the Euro expert, giving a bit more insight into Christophe Galtier. I'll pop the link in shortly when the stream is over. But he finds that balance, not just in like I said, in the youth and the experience of his team, but in the way he plays. He's pragmatic when he has to be, but he's offensive and he's aggressive when he has to be. And there's just so much about this man that I like. And look, I have heard through some sources that I absolutely do trust that Spurs had initiated contact with Christophe Galtier, and things have gone quiet on that front. And in the latest odds, he is 66-1, a massive outsider. But like Alasdair Gold says, that might be the type of manager we bring in, because Spurs are keeping their cards close to their chest. Like we say here, some names on the club's shortlist will remain on loan until the final stages, and that's exactly how Tottenham want it. Could that be Christophe Galtier? only time will tell for Spurs, because we're coming into the business end of this hunt for a new manager, for a successor for Jose Mourinho. Adam Phillips says, what about the Atalanta manager? Gianpiero Gasperini is another name that has been mentioned. Atalanta are the type of team that don't defend particularly well, but often outscore their opposition. I was watching them on Saturday. I think they played Parma. They won 4-2 away from home. Scored some incredible goals, actually. I can't think of the name of the guy who scored the first goal, but Gasperini an option as well. Very attacking football, likes to score goals. But like I said, only time will tell how this managerial pursuit will go for Spurs. We are coming into the business end. As Alasdair Gold says, Spurs have finalised their shortlist and are moving quickly to enter talks with potential candidates as they look to replace Jose Mourinho by the end of the season. If you want to keep up to date with everything that is happening on this pursuit of a manager, make sure to smash that subscribe button down below. I promise you, you'll not regret it. It is completely free and it'll help keep you up to date with all of these updates as Spurs move to replace Mourinho. Aside from that, you can get the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast, Tottenham Watch Alongs, and the Tottenham Hotspur Transfer Talk series, which will be coming back in full strength this summer as Spurs look to improve on this abysmal season. We're going to get centre backs, we're getting midfielders, and you'll hear all about it here at Matt Hayes Tottenham Blog. To everyone who's tuned in, I quickly just want to get the numbers for this one, because it's been a consistent 160, 170 people here in the stream the whole way throughout. So I do want to get the numbers and find out exactly how many of you wonderful people have tuned in for this this late night lecture. It's almost been, to be honest, because I've just been talking. I know I haven't engaged too much with the comments, but there was a lot to get through. We've had 1,200 people joining us over the last 50 or so minutes. So thank you very much to all of you who've joined. We are on 109 likes, so we have smashed 100. Thank you very much to everyone for that. Look, let's hope Spurs end the season on a high with a couple of wins and a managerial appointment that will make us all happy. Like I said, everyone who's tuned in, thank you so much for watching. And look, it's going to be someone. Let's make it a good one.